That's
You move
awesome.
into
That's
my
awesome.
neighborhood when I wasn't looking.
Obviously. Okay. It's so nice to have you here. I
Oh, it's
think
awesome to be here. Yeah.
yeah, Eric has said a lot of nice things about you, and we are thrilled to have you among us. So
Ah, cool. Eric is amazing. He's
indeed,
amazing,
indeed,
and I love doing
indeed.
things with Eric.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Shout outs to Eric.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, actually.
Okay, so we'll stick along
uh,
for a while. I know people are trying to join, so we'll just have our chit chat and while we are waiting for
Okay.
them. Normally, the event is supposed to start at 7 p.m. So I think when it's 6:55, then I'll show your bio. Then I think, Eric, I'll leave you to introduce Audrey when we are ready to start. I'll just give the introduction, then you just introduce Audrey, then we pick it from there.
Yes. Can I do a
oh,
quick screen
okay.
share test just to make
Yes,
sure?
yes, sure.
Yeah. Let me just do a quick test. You never
Uh,
know,
the other thing is that
Uh,
some
so can you see?
Super. Yeah, I can see envisioning low code solution opportunities.
Yes. Yes. All right.
Awesome.
Awesome. So that I know I'm
Yeah.
totally working sound, audio, and video.
Super, super. So the event is roughly 1 hour. Is just we want to run it as a kind of a talk show, but because you are in today to show us something new, then we'll leave you the floor. You have I think more than 30 minutes, 40 to 45 minutes. Then the rest is just questions and maybe sharing of information and here and there. So feel free. You have the whole floor for you. So we don't really have anything. I think only Ahmed Sali. I don't know if you know Ahmed Sali.
No, I don't.
Okay, yeah. So Ahmed Saleh is also one of the super users in the Power Platform, Power Apps community. So he
Okay.
often brings us information. So I think he's roughly between you and I. I don't really have anything set for today, scheduled for today. I don't know, Eric, just go. So that I'm trying to maximize the time for Audrey so that we can allow her to, to have an efficient session and all that. So Chesco, Eric, do you guys want to share something today so that we know how we allocate the time?
oh, not really. We will just allow Audrey to do the presentation. Then the contribution will be in the form of the questions and those things. So I don't have anything to present.
Now
Okay,
that I see the
okay.
name, I know this
Yeah,
person
right.
is a super user. Yeah. I know this
Yes.
person. I just never met you, Ahmed. I never even heard your name pronounced, but yeah, I know you're from the community. Yeah.
Andrea, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you. Thank you for everything you do in the community. You are
You are
truly
so
a super
welcome. Thank you.
user. Yeah.
Ahmed, nice to see you.
Oh, Silver Sir, nice to see you too. How's everything, brother?
Everything is cool. It's been a while.
It is been a while. Yes, yes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The background we didn't really communicate these days because I'm trying to also push, as you know, the event at the other side for the in-person event that we are planning on doing in Togo. So I think I've been more focused on that aspect of the thing. It's a bit difficult, not difficult, but there's a lot of things you need to consider when we are coming to have a kind of event like that. This is the first
Yeah.
time we are trying to organize something that huge in Togo in regards of Microsoft tech community event. So I'm trying to make sure we cover most of the aspect that we don't leave anything out. So that's why these days I've been quite busy, but I'll keep you guys updated with everything that I'm doing so that if there's something you guys, any suggestion or anything you think you can bring on board, then we can also incorporate it. So that's about that.
That's great. That's awesome.
Super. So okay, it's actually 6:51 p.m. GMT. I don't know the time at your end. What time is it at your end, Ahmed?
I'm Central, so it's 12:51 p.m.
Okay.
And
Audrey,
I'm a
what
little
about
earlier
you?
than that. It's 10:51. So I'm in everybody's past. You're in my future.
Yeah, you are in the West Coast, are you right?
Yeah, I'm right in the Woodinville area, which is about 15 minutes from main campus.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay. Yeah,
yeah.
I'm in Memphis, Tennessee. So,
Wow. Okay. So
we are
international
we
call.
yes, we are in the middle of all this excitement.
Yes.
It's just crazy. Yesterday we saw the video and it's just unbelievable. It's horrible. It's really horrible.
Wow. So much going on, it's
Yeah,
kind of like I
yeah,
just have to keep everybody in my prayers between the shootings and the tornadoes and the heat waves and the
yeah,
fires
yeah.
and it just never stops,
Right, right. Yeah,
it never stops, but we keep going. I'm always impressed at how we don't skip a beat, like despite the challenges that we all face. We
yeah,
keep putting out great stuff. We keep encouraging people and empowering people, and people are still doing amazing things despite the challenges, and that's what like really motivates me.
Yeah,
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 yeah. That's
Yeah,
yeah,
true.
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
I keep
Our
everybody
prayers
in
are
my
with you.
prayers though, because so
Yeah,
much, yeah, so many challenges.
yeah, 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 definitely. Uh, 6:53. We still have some few hours. I think most people are just waiting for 7 p.m. to be on the clock before they join. So
No, I don't blame them. Yeah, it's Saturday. We out there
It
doing
is
something
Saturday,
definitely.
good.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, Saturday.
Can I can I ask you a question? So I want
Yeah,
your
sure,
opinion, all of you, right? So
sure.
today I'm not at work, so my Microsoft hat is not really on. I'm going to bring out some of my own personal opinions and thoughts, just to share a little bit about kind of like how I view this with my Microsoft hat off. But one of the things I'm going to mention, and you're going to be like, why are you mentioning that? Where does it fit in? You'll see. But I'm going to mention the Underground Railroad. Is that typically understood by this audience? What is the Underground Railroad?
Uh,
I
I
don't
think
think
I
No?
so
heard it
because
before. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
but
So
I
then
don't really
I might
have
have to
an.
explain that. Okay.
Yeah, yeah,
So all of you have heard about civil rights in America and how we've gone through everything that started like with slavery, and then we had
yeah,
to have emancipation and long history. When slaves were taken out of slavery, because there wasn't a decision, let's emancipate these slaves. All
yeah,
along the way, before freedom was given to them, they were being pulled out, so secretly pulled out. And the organization that was pulling slaves out was called the Underground Railroad. And the amazing thing about the Underground Railroad is there were conductors, that's what they were called, and their job was to facilitate the transfer of slaves from slave states into safe locations. And that meant a lot of different things. But one of the things it also meant was they had to use symbols and systems when the slaves did not read because they were not allowed to go to school. This is related, you will see. But I just wanted to know, like, how many people actually know about the Underground Railroad. I could take just about that minute to explain it, but does that make sense?
yeah.
yes. That's actually gonna
I
be
think
very interesting.
yeah.
Okay, cool.
Even speaking about it, I think there's some movie recently that I forgot the
Yes,
name of this actress, and they talked about something Truman, or I forgot the name of the lady. She was kind of the leader of the Underground Railroad, and I was
Yeah,
interested about the story and all that after I watched the movie. And it was kind of, it gave me all kind of emotion, what people went through back then and all that before
yeah.
we having this liberty and all that. So it made me appreciate the whole thing.
Yes. And because you're my inside scoop, so you guys before the recording goes on, the biggest
Sure, sure.
connection is The biggest connection is that from a maker experience, so business users who really wanted to get their solutions out, their hands were often tied because they didn't write code, because they didn't have budget from developers, because no developer was available on this long queue of people waiting for development. But then we were freed. We were freed in the sense that we were given the low code revolution where we could actually build solutions ourselves using the knowledge that we have, which is the closest thing there is to what the business really needs. And somebody sent me a text message, and this is real. One of our MVPs, I don't know if you know his name is Anton, by the way. He sent me a text message and he says, the Power Platform is like the Underground Railroad, Audrey. And I said, true that. And we have to be the conductors. We being the engineering teams at Microsoft, the MVPs out there helping to educate. We've got to be the conductors that don't force people to learn code, but actually enable them to use their own language in order to achieve greatness in solutions. So that's the parallel I see. It's a responsibility from a conductor perspective, or from the perspective of those releasing these products and educating others. I believe we have the responsibility to act like that conductor. Don't force people to change. Enable people to use what they know to be successful. And then they will love it. It will just keep going viral.
That's
Yeah.
actually great analogy. It's just magnificent. I have goosebumps.
I
This is
did too.
yeah, yeah.
I
You
can't
went.
take credit for it. It was Anton's
It's
text message,
unbelievable.
and it was wow,
That's
but
true.
yeah,
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 yeah.
it's
That's and one thing usually I also say that why is the community so different with the Power Platform is usually Power Platform actually usually starts as one person job in an organization. And it's
right.
not like especially those pro developers like us who come in from software engineering. We
Yes.
work in teams. That's so we have team managers, we have product managers, we have project managers, and we have other code developers. And so you never felt like that it's something that you have to build from E to E by yourself. So, and
Exactly.
that was my experience. That's why I
Yeah.
decided to give back to the community, because when I first started, and I started specifically in Dataverse, it was
Oh
actually
wow.
very, very minimum documentation. It was very
Yep.
minimum people, super users. We have like at that time like 3 or 4 super users Dataverse,
Yep.
and although that they are very few, I would ask a question that I need answer for, and I will get the answer in 24 hours. So that community,
Whoa.
these
Whoa.
forums, made me
Yeah.
feel as they are my teammates, so I can go back to them, that I have a backbone, that I have someone I can go and ask if I don't know how to do this. So that's why I
Beautiful. Yeah.
feel, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it
And
also gives me.
it's so critical for success to feel like you're not by yourself in this. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I think way back when I started, it was Andrew Butenko. I don't know if you know him. I think he relocated to USA now. He was previously in Ukraine.
Hmm.
I started with Dynamics 365. Then I was so new in the field and all that, and I was looking for to people that were doing the thing, but it's difficult to get somebody or
Yeah.
people within my geographical space. There are very few people that do dynamic here in Ghana, and even if you find them, they are not really online. They are not those kind of
Yeah.
people that want to help people, that want to be reached out to, unless you join a company, somebody knows somebody. It's
Yeah.
so difficult to get to them. And the first person that I had a chat with, or somebody, the first person that really helped me was Andrew Butenko. And I remember I had to reach out to him through Facebook.
Oh
And
wow.
yeah.
Oh, that's too
He
sad.
pointed
You
me
had to go to
to
Facebook.
into
Okay.
So he has to direct me to some materials for me to
Uh-huh.
read this, go and read it, go and read that, and that's how come I started my journey. And most of the thing, and just like Ahmed, back then it wasn't Dataverse, but it was Common Data Services (CDS), and
Yes. Yeah,
most
I
of the thing
remember.
that I used to
Yeah.
do, yeah. So I started from that bigger picture before I came slowly into Power Platform. So it was easy for me to easily adopt Power Platform because most of the thing that I was doing, I did it in Dynamic, and Dynamic is much complex than Power Platform, Power Apps per se. So that was also my
Yeah.
little experience.
I have to connect with you too because the more Dataverse SMEs I can find, the better. Because we're trying to kind of, simplify the messaging and the ability for anyone to kind of have an approach in Dataverse. So looking forward to connecting with you. You even after this meeting, those of you that Dynamics and Dataverse.
Sure.
It looks
Okay,
like it's
so
time.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah. So I'm about to present the your bio. So Eric, just a minute. Let me quickly present the bio that you sent. Then you can pick it up from there.
Don't
Uh,
worry about
Ahmed,
those who are joining. I will add them, Sylvester. Just
the
focus on the
all right.
presentation.
Sure. Thank you. Okay, so PowerPoint, just a second. So I'm just adding this to the share this window. Uh, Kindly confirm if you can see it now.
Yes.
I
Okay,
see it.
awesome. Good. So we can speak to it. So I think it's 7:03. We can start while other people join. So we are officially live. Just a quick one. Ahmed, are you streaming Facebook, YouTube?
No. We're gonna just record and then post it on YouTube.
Sure. All right. Okay.
Yeah.
So nice to have you all. We are
All
officially
right.
live. So today we have Audrey in our midst. Audrey is she's part of the Power Pack team at Microsoft, and she's here to do a presentation with us. She's here to share her experience from the other side of the world, how they do things, and another angle to view Power Apps, Power Platform as a whole from. So I won't waste time. Let me give the podium to Mr. Eric Entry to present, to introduce Audrey, then we can pick it from there. Eric, back to you.
Yeah. Oh, a couple. Okay, a couple in team. Ahmed and Co. Chesco, Godwin. Hello.
Hello, Eric.
Hello, Eric.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So we have
So,
Audrey in our midst, and
Yay.
Audrey is
Yeah, I'm here. Good
very
evening. Yep.
describe everything that he has done. Yeah. So I will try as much as possible to give a little background. Audrey has a consulting background. She was actually a partner in Microsoft before joining as a full-time employee. She has a very huge background in SharePoint. She's a specialist in SharePoint, and she's also a specialist in Dataverse. She has done a lot on the Power Platform. Very energetic. And he's a member of
wow.
the Power Cut team. You know, the Power Cut team is a team that is an advisory team. They design a lot of those of us who are yet to join the Power Platform team. They simplify those things for us to understand videos and so on. And then personally, she is one of my mentors. In fact, she and some she the one other guy, I've forgotten the name. I have followed them for a very long time. So almost every video that she produced, I try as much as possible to view. And then her latest video was on the Dataverse advisory or advent. She did it on December, about 25 videos or so, and I tried to follow. So we are very grateful to you for being able to join us, and we hope to learn from you. She's also very good at learning, so much as she is a leader and she's helping us to understand, she'll also be taking one or two things from us. Thank you, and welcome to the Power Platform Monthly Digest. I'm very grateful. I hope I did something good. Thank you.
You did wonderful. You did wonderful, Eric.
Yeah, you did. You made me blush. I was blushing over here. It's hard to see with my skin color, but I was blushing. I'm excited to be here with all of you. It's so exciting. And feel free to cut in and interrupt me as I go. I want you to know that today is Saturday where I am. It's Saturday morning. So I took my Microsoft hat off. And this is just Audrey. You're going to meet Audrey today. And I'm going to share some things. I'm going to weave into this deck some personal tips I want to give you, and also have an opportunity to listen to you and what you're thinking about too. So pay attention, because there's going to be some secrets that I'm going to weave in here. Okay. We're going to start with like a capabilities review just to level set, because I don't know the diversity of the attendees. Then we're going to talk about is what is this new low code revolution that's going on where everybody's talking about low code solutions, and why is that completely viral worldwide today? And then I'm going to give you a simplified envisioning guide, because the key to success is being able to envision how you can address your problems in your own environment. So helping you identify what problems are good candidates, and then helping you to envision your solution is something I want to do today. And then I'm just going to open up the platform itself, go into the Power Apps, and kind of show you some of the newest things that I'm most excited about. And I cannot see the chat while I'm presenting. So Eric or Ahmed, please interrupt me if you need be. Quick level set. I think everybody knows the pieces of the Power Platform. You can see our newest baby on the top, which is Power Pages. But yeah, these powers are right in front of what they do. So Power Pages does pages or website development. So think of each page on a website as the Power Pages we're talking about. Power Apps is more about those apps. You know, just like today, you probably have a mobile phone, and whenever you want to add new functionality to your phone, you go to the store and you find what you want and you pop it into your phone, and now your phone does things it didn't do when you bought it, right? Same thing with Power Apps. How about if we could create apps like that for our day-to-day work and just pop it into Teams or pop it into our environment, our mobile devices, and just use it whenever we need it. New functionality based on the services that we have available in the cloud, right? Then there's Power Automate. This helps us automate those repeatable processes. I mean, why should I click the same button every morning at 8 o'clock? Why should I have to click that button? I might want to sleep a little bit later. So I can have Power Automate do things for me so that I can get more done with less effort on my part. Scale that to an entire enterprise, and you've got phenomenal opportunity. The Power BI, this is the oldest kid on the block. We all know Power BI. It's huge for being able to turn data into insights, because we ain't got the time to read data line by line in Excel anymore. There's just too much data. So for us to be able to crunch that data quickly and identify what's most important, we need the power of Power BI analytics. Power Virtual Agents is a recent addition to the Power Platform family. I love it because I think bots right now are indispensable. And let me tell you why I say that. Sometimes you ever want something, you need something to do something in your job, but you don't know where to get it. Like you don't even know who to ask. You're not even sure if you know how to do the keyword search. You just know you need this thing and it's about that thing. And boy, you wish you could get to someone or something about that thing. What if you could go to a smart bot, right? If you had a handy bot that you could just go to and say, yo, I need this. And the bot says, oh, I got you. How about this? Did you want it on this perspective or this perspective? And then you answer the bot and you have a conversation with this AI. And the AI has the availability to go look at all this stuff and then pick just the right thing for you. Even connect you to an agent. I mean, I just think it's awesome. And the beautiful thing about both Power Virtual Agents and Power Pages is they enable you to expose select data to your customers and your partners, even those external members that you might not have been leveraging with some of the other platform services because you've been focused on your tenants, right? So all of this is backed up with quite a bit of technology, and I'm always going to brag about Dataverse because Dataverse is a business data platform that really serves all of the Power Platform tools. And it becomes the platform that you can not only bring in services like these, but your critical data. How about your SAP data? How about the data that you have in other legacy applications? Would you like to bring that into Dataverse and layer over some business logic, put down some policies, increase the ability to manage and monitor what's happening with all that data? And actually, you have the capability of using Dataverse not just as a database, but as a data steward to make sure your data stays secure and keeps its integrity. So is a lot. And if I were to talk about them all, it would take all day. We don't have all day. But I do want to point out on the bottom of this chart that all of these underlying technologies, the data connectors, almost 1,000 data connectors. I think we've been going up so quickly, I totally lost count. And it's not just Microsoft that we're connecting to. You can connect to just about anything that the average enterprise might need to use today. Microsoft wants to be very inclusive when it comes to its technologies and enable anyone, even those using AWS, to leverage our technologies, right? And then there's AI builders, so that all that artificial intelligence, might as well use it because we definitely need it. We got volume of data, we got volume of activities, we've got hybrid users. We need something to help us out. Dataverse is our data platform. PowerFX, you're going to see it light up everywhere, everywhere, I guarantee you, because it's a way of managing through formulas, but supplemented with artificial intelligence and other factors that will help you bring it all together. And then you have managed environments for those of you that are responsible for securing and governing and monitoring. You're going to be able to kick that up several notches if you engage with managed environments. Again, I won't have time to talk about all this today, but it is good to kind of keep the full picture in perspective and to realize everything you need is right here in this one suite of technologies available through the Microsoft Cloud. Okay, so I want to talk just briefly about why low code is going viral right now. Everybody's doing it, right? Firstly, it's speed to delivery. So very quick ability to deliver business applications without having to do a whole lot of programming and training, right? So we're going to save some time and we're going to become more efficient, okay? And you can do these customer experience and automation. You can therefore spend more time focusing on customer experience and automation apps. You also allows worker to create these enterprise grade business apps. And I'm even going to share with you my first app that I ever made, well, that I ever got paid for. And you'll see how it was just addressing a business problem, but it went viral very quickly, right? And although I come from, maybe some of you remember InfoPath, so I come from that forms over data. I come from SharePoint, where you're building maybe JavaScript, XSLT solutions. So I come from there. So very little code. Don't tell me about C#. I don't want to know. I don't want to spend my day in C#. So anything that would enable me to build quickly with a minimum amount of code is going to make me happy. And then finally, it's inclusive. And this is where you see the birth of fusion teams, where you have developers working with business professionals who are also working with IT, coming together to bring out the very best solutions we really couldn't make in the past because we didn't have that collaboration. And so this is the collaboration between these different roles and personas. Is what's making this go viral. This is one of the things I wanted to share with you. This is very personal. I'll share this with you. I got this text message back in 2016 from one of my MVPs, so I know lots of MVPs and I love them all, and they know that I'll do anything for them, right? Just because they're our powerhouse. They really help everybody, and they do it so selflessly, like they do it because they care, and they want to help you. And so we communicate, and this was a text message I got, and it said, the Power Platform has been the underground railroad for many of us. It has changed our lives. Now, I answered true that, mine as well, right? My life as well. And for those of you that might not know what the Underground Railroad is, United States have a history related to slavery. And if you go back into Black American history, you'll find that a lot of efforts were made to free those slaves from slavery. And one of the mechanisms that was used before it became kind of like a degree was the Underground Railroad. The Underground Railroad served as a mechanism to get the slaves from their location under slavery to a safe location where they could be freed. There was a lot of challenges in that. And the biggest challenge was that slaves were not permitted to go to school, and so they didn't read. So you couldn't use normal signs and things like that to help them know where was safe to be and where it wasn't. So the conductors actually created a symbolic language that could be used in churches, in tunnels, in underground situations, where these symbols would help the slaves to understand where it was safe, where it was dangerous, little heads up here and there. And they could therefore be alerted in advance to the situation. Now, why do I compare this, and why do you think he compared this? Is because we don't force these very powerful business users to learn code. We don't want to do that. We want to act like the conductors and enable them to use what they know to get to the solution that they're trying to get to, right? And so I think Microsoft, as well as MVP, super users, we have kind of a side responsibility to help you use the product without needing to force you to learn how to read code, right? And so this is very close to my heart, and I think it's a great responsibility that we have, and that making makers feel freed from waiting on developers or waiting on some other team, but actually be able to use their knowledge in the state they're in right now to create solutions. And I think what this does is it blends that business expertise with technical ability so that you enable across your company and not just in IT. And it's a very empathetic thing, low code development. It's understanding everyone's different capabilities, and it's learning how to collaborate to bring the best of the best together. So I'm very excited about what low code is doing for us, all of us, and the inclusive nature. I'm seeing more diversity in solution development. I'm seeing more women in solution development. I'm just seeing all kinds of personas in solution development. From the dads at home trying to give their baby a cute little app to play with, to the administrators who are trying to invite visitors into the building, all the way up to your IoT scenarios where you might have complex systems and sensors that you need to trigger automation, et cetera. So it's amazing the breadth of people that get involved and how their lives get changed. I have some problems up here that we usually share. The ones are highlighted I want to talk about just briefly because they're my favorites. Don't tell anybody. Remember, I'm off today. Training is one of my favorite because you actually can create an app to train people directly on what you want them to train, and you can track the results of that training. In the templates for Power Apps, there's actually a template for this that you can use right now, 3 clicks, and have an app for training and just replace the text, whatever you want to train them on. So kind of neat that you can use this for training. You can use it for productivity. This is the second one that I highlighted down there. And one of the things I like to highlight when it comes to productivity is facilitating gates. So what I mean by that is, do you have any systems where you work where this team has to do something and then they pass the baton to another team and that team has to do something and they might pass the baton to a third team? There's gates there, those gates. And this is where very often they fall down. Right? They fall down and people are wondering why that thing can get done and whose ball is in the court, you know, like, and it's a big confusing mess. People forget what they were supposed to be doing and when. They forget that they're a dependency for the next team and therefore they can't wait till the last day because now they cut all the time the next team has to do what they have to do. But when you start working with Power Platform, you're going to see how we surface these process dependencies much easily than we have in the past. And we create the bridges between these things seamlessly so that the consumer doesn't have to feel it and they can actually relax because it's very obvious what's next, when they need to get involved and when they need to, you know, pass on X, right? So I love that piece. And that's kind of what I did mostly in my business, is help people with process gates. Analytics is a no-brainer. The number one reason why I discovered Power Apps was because I was often asked to do Power BI dashboards. And what happened is their data was everywhere. It was scattered over here in Excel. It was over here on somebody's desktop. It was over there, a little piece of it in SQL, a little piece of it in SharePoint, a little piece of it on a note page, on a OneNote. And so putting together a dashboard when you've got data kind of confetti-like is really hard. So Power Platform helped me to streamline the intake process as well as the automations that would help aggregating this data and bringing it into Power BI much easier and predicting, you know, the data that was needed in Power BI. So Power Apps did that for me. It helped me build better dashboards because it helped me simplify how data was taken in and how it was processed. Frontline worker scenarios. I love this one. I'll tell you why. You know, we have data in Dataverse right now, right? Lots of data. We don't necessarily want everybody in our company to be in that data, right? So we don't want to have to worry about, how do I train these people? How do I get them into a security role, blah, blah, blah. In some cases with frontline workers, you only need them to have a specific context of data. And you take that specific context of data and you push it out, or you enable them to request it or query it, say through a bot or say through some type of adaptive card. They query that data. Automation runs under the context of someone who has access to that data, but it siphons and funnels it down to just what they need, publishes it like in the context of a Teams channel. And now the frontline workers can benefit from that data in a very secure way. It's not overwhelming to them either because it's just what they need, right? Security, I have to say, Dataverse blows me away with the level of security. And I'm going to show you maybe a couple things on that today because I have so much to tell you. It's kind of hard to give you all these demos, but I'm happy to come back and talk to this user group again. All right. This is my first app that I ever got paid to make. It was for a cannabis company and I was paid in cash and not in anything else. And it's a legal cannabis company and they had to track the strains of plants that they were growing, right? And they had to be very careful because the government has constraints about how this stuff can be grown, cared for, and distributed, right? So they would do everything on paper and they said, you know, hey, Audrey, we heard you got some good ideas. Can you help us build a better scenario? Because I think the scenario was they went to this whiteboard every morning, literally picked up paper forms and then looked and saw where their name was to figure out what plants they had to investigate and then which rooms they had to go to. And then they logged the humidity and the temperature of every room on these papers. At the end of the day, they dropped the paper into a bin and some admin would pick up those papers and put it in Excel. Woo. Okay, So I created this app, which I was really proud of this app because that control in the middle didn't really exist. And I figured out how to make it. So be creative with the Power Platform. Don't be afraid to step out of the box of what's expected. You can do a lot with the platform if you just like let your brain be a little creative. And so basically the technicians where the plants were would just have this app on actually it was a mobile device fixed in the rooms because they couldn't move these around, but they were in the rooms. And basically when they got in the room, they would look at the device, they would use their finger to move the humidity read over to what's the humidity and the temperature read. And they would just they would switch manually with their finger from temperature to humidity using the two icons at the top. When they press submit, this is the magic, okay? When they press submit, all of the data that they collected would go to a SharePoint list. And so every technician was live going to these lists. Now, these lists in SharePoint were backed up with Power Automate workflows, which could detect problems. Like we knew if the humidity was at this level for a particular room and plant strain, that was dangerous. We need to get somebody in there to handle that temperature. They might have to spray water. And then with the humidity, it could actually over or under could actually provoke insect infections or other illnesses for these plants. And so instead of waiting for the technician to say problem, the workflow would initiate an alert to the people who could go and service this room, whether it be taking care of the plants with some type of pesticide or spraying the room with water. These people were notified as the technicians were walking through the halls. And then at the end of the day, when it came to collecting a report of what happened, they would just go to the SharePoint site, press give me a report for today, and all of that would just get pushed out to them through a HTML email thread. And so they were amazed that like, I don't know how many hours of playing with paper was reduced to like 15 minutes. And they were like so impressed that this was the first iteration, but this actually ended up being much more complicated over time and eventually ended up being related to IoT. But here's the beautiful thing about this. When you're building, you don't fall off cliffs, right? It can always be extended. You can iterate, others can add, and it's just like, it just continues to grow. You don't have to like trash it and start over. So I can't say enough about this. This was my favorite app because it was my first that I got paid for, but I was really proud of it because of how much it solved for the business. This is another app I like. I always like to talk about this because we have so many connectors. Like I said, I'm sure we're almost at 900, if not 1,000. And when you think about that, you have the opportunity to reduce stress. And what I mean by that is people have to do a lot of context switching, right? Where was that document? Oh yeah, that was in SharePoint. Where's the planner task for this? Oh yeah, that's in Planner. Which Teams channel was that? Were we talking about this in? And what happens is people get kind of stressed out. Where the heck is stuff? And it's like, I'm tired, I'm taking a day off. How about we make an app, right? And we bring everything they need into that app. And this is where envisioning is so important. When you target a problem, try to bring as much value into the solution as possible so that you enable people to do things better, faster, more comfortably without having to worry about where we store stuff. I think that's old school. Why do we have to worry about where stuff is stored? We have an app or we have a landing page that asks us questions and we do, and it knows where to put it. I shouldn't have to worry about where to put it. Right? So love these kind of apps. This particular app that you're looking at now had several data points, even including, I think even a Twitter feed was in here to help you know what was going on as far as public facing impressions of the company or the customer in this case. So they could put as much data as they wanted to. Several connectors could be used to bring this app together so that the person using this app no longer has to worry about context switching all day. They just do what they do. They log it right there. They're done, right? No stress. So how do you envision a solution for Power Platform? Here's what I'm going to say is my little secret sauce. And then I'll show you like the Microsoft consensus on the secret sauce, which is great too. But these are the things I want to point out that I love. First, define the problem. What is the problem you're trying to solve? Define that in writing, like get it in a doc and start amplifying it to see whether or not it's true or not. I love this little simple statement here on the slide. As an inspector, so that's the persona, I need to be able to have easy access to the daily inspection locations. That's the job to be done in order to submit my inspection reports on time, which is the goal. You can write a simple sentence like that for just about any problem, right? But starting with that sentence and then breaking down the problem, the personas, who would sponsor this, who would benefit of this, what it builds for you is your before snapshot. Because how many of you have made phenomenal solutions, but then not been able to show off all that it did? You kind of need a record of where they started. And then you create that after snapshot that compares the before to the after, and you become the superhero, right? You're the bomb, right? So after you define it, you want to validate that by soliciting engagement. So just talking to everybody you can think of to talk about, get their feedback, be open to feedback. Don't be like closed-minded. Work together, like in those fusion teams with maybe IT, with maybe the BSG in your org to find out where should this go and what data loss prevention policies do we need, what security policies we need, if any, for this thing, right? And then make sure you locate the right data. If you have to create it, then take the time to think about data integrity. Data integrity is protected by business rules, by data types, by business process flows. These are ways that you protect the data integrity and you reduce the opportunity for error to seep in to your critical data stream, right? And build your solutions with a view to iterating. Okay, I don't know how many times I've said this, but no solution on day one is perfect. I don't care if Microsoft made it. I don't care if anybody else made it. It's never perfect first iteration. So get it out there as quickly as you can. Once you've got that support from your sponsors, your personas, your stakeholders, get it out there and then plan to iterate. Literally figure out what's the feedback method that you're going to use to collect some feedback on your apps or your solutions or whatever it is you're building. And then from that feedback, start planning your next iteration. Iterate at some frequency, which is not every day, but iterate at some frequency that will support your app growing in value and growing in scale. Okay, and don't forget to make disciples. Make disciples. Spend time telling people how awesome it is and why. Spend time educating people on value they may not even see, right? A lot of people think, for instance, that Dataverse is just a database. And so they expect to have tables and columns, but they have no idea that they can configure business logic, business rules, secured column data. It's just what is there and I have no idea is possible, right? So help them understand, make disciples, and then share all your wins. Don't take anything for granted. Now, I hope to remember to show you this when I open up the platform really briefly, but this question mark that you'll see when you load Power Apps is a huge, important question mark, because as you're doing this work, stay close to the community. This is where you're going to get the answers to your questions. This is where you're going to be able to vet any problems you might be having. You'll even get some great blogs there and things. There's the app catalog that shows what other people have built. Spend some time staying connected to the community. You don't have to remember the URL or bookmark it. Just use the question mark. It's in the top right of every Power Platform product. Go to the community and learn. All right. Go to the community and also you iterate you. What does that mean? Maybe on day one in the community, you're asking a question. but build yourself up to the point where you're liking answers and you're actually able to determine which answers are the most beneficial. And then maybe one day you answer a question yourself. Whoa, pat on the back. I answered a question. And then you do a blog. And then you show up on the platform with Audrey at the conference. And then you become an MVP. Hey, are you seeing this journey? It's awesome. So stay close to the community. That's the journey I took that led me to working at Microsoft. These are the tips that Microsoft always gives, and I agree with all of them, even though I gave you all my little secret sauce, right? Focus on one or more high-value use cases to get started. Quantify the business value, right? There's a maturity adoption model that you can use for that. Ensure maximum security dependent on what that solution needs, right? So stay in the context of the solution you start with. Learn how to use the tools at your own pace. There's a lot of learning materials. Run hackathons in your company. They are so much fun. And I don't stop hearing how these work out for people every day. They really help those teams come together and see value and also contribute their own knowledge. We have to open doors. Inclusivity means giving people a voice. So are you finding that door that you can open to give more people around you an opportunity to contribute value to that solution? And then embrace that culture of being a citizen developer, of working with fusion teams. If you're a pro dev, embrace what you can do to support the makers in your business. If you're a data steward, embrace that you can create data models that everybody takes advantage of. If we all work together and we have tools like, I love the Center of Excellence Starter Kit or managed environments, these tools will help us continuously keep a radar on what we're achieving or our return on investment for this Power Platform estate that we begin to build. So let's take a closer look at the platform real quick. FYI, in this deck, which I'm going to give everybody, I will give you this deck. There is a slide with all the resources. And at the end, there's two little links that I'd love for you to investigate. One that shares customer stories, because we all need to talk about what everybody's doing. And everybody's doing this all over the world. So don't miss out, right? Check out all the stories that are happening in that link. And on the right-hand side, that's a lab I created for the Microsoft Power Platform Conference this past year. And it kind of has a step-by-step that is really focused on envisioning all the way through the solution and how that solution can contain many components, not just one service, right? So if you do the lab, and it's free.
Adri,
Yep.
I have a question for you. So you were in the conference in Orlando?
I was not present. I was a remote instructor.
Okay, that's the first time I saw you then. I was
okay. Yeah, that was me. I was up on the screen.
I was trying to remember. I saw you before, but I was trying to remember like all this last 20 minutes. No, I remember.
Yeah, that's it. I was up at the front on this huge screen, so you couldn't have missed me.
Yes.
But the Dataverse engineering team actually ran that event. So I was a supporting factor for the Dataverse team. And it was great having the engineering team right there with everybody to answer questions and to contribute. It was a beautiful event. But I'm sharing the lab in case you want to give it a try and kind of get more. There's even a template in there for envisioning, so I'm a big fan of planning. At least if their plan is 4 hours long, that's fine. It just should not be 6 months like we've done in the past. It should be, a few hours, a few days, but know what you're building before you go build it. Okay, it just saves a lot of time on trial and error. All right, so I'm going to go to the Power Platform here and just point out a few things. One, the developer plan. If you download that Dataverse Lab assets, it explains to you what the developer plan is and how to get it. But basically, you just go to this page. If you already have a Microsoft 365 account, you can click this button. If you don't, let's say you don't even have a Microsoft 365 tenant, you can freely test this out in a developer plan anyway. So it'll walk you through the steps. So that's kind of like the first thing you do, kind of get yourself a developer plan environment where you can play. and then go into the admin settings of that developer plan and add sample data just to play with your first time. You can always purge it. So the environment can be purged and copied. So just remember that you can add sample data. I did that today. And so you'll see that my tables actually have accounts and customers and stuff. And it's because I added sample data. I didn't have any, I didn't do anything. And this is one of the things I love about Dataverse, is that it comes with built-in tables that support the common relationship type apps. So when I say relationship type, I'm not talking about database relationships like between tables. I'm talking about relationships with your customers, with your partners, with your suppliers. Those relationships will have contacts, they'll have files, warranties, they'll have activities, tasks, meetings, etc. This CDM that's in here is built for that. That kind of thing is really easy to do here. And there's actually a column I wanted to show up to you because you don't have to do one database for each type. I love the business type column because you can edit that column so that you can assign a type to a company, right? So it comes out of the box with default as one, but you can always have suppliers, customer, partner. And if you flag your accounts in this way, it will be very easy for you to create filtered views, filtered forms, reports that are focused on that particular customer of that particular company type, without having to have 3 separate databases for those things. So learning how to use the CDM is kind of like the first love that I had, coming from SharePoint. I really liked these out of the box tables. We don't really have that same thing in SharePoint. We have these template tables, but it's not the same thing as tables here because these are built with relationships. So basically, the table for accounts and the table for contacts, they automatically know each other. Those relationships are built into the CDM, right? And if you do aka.ms/CDM, you can learn a lot more about the CDM. But because of these built-in relationships, I can create an app from table that is very intelligent. And this app that I'm building right here, that I'm just building from the table. Again, I did nothing but add sample data. I do want to underscore that. Audrey did not do anything, I promise you. I just added sample data, and now I'm creating an app from this table, that's account. The account table is often the parent in the one-to-many relationships. One account has many contacts, one account has many activities, one account has many whatever else you want to have, right? And basically, Power Apps does all the work for me to bring that together in a logical way in a model-driven app. And thank you, Power Apps, because this reduced how much time I have to sit and configure this app. And it gives me so much added value that I didn't even expect. So here's the app built. I'm just going to see if I can publish and play it. Again, just to show you that it built its app. It knows what to do. And that's why it's called model driven, because it's driven by the data model. So if the data model is correct, then the model driven app will be correct and it'll be working, right? So if I click on my active account here and I look at this here, you can see that I have all these relationships that come from the data model, not from me clicking and doing a lookup filter and then figuring out which connector to add. No. All I did was set the relationship of the tables, and model-driven app gets me, right? I can integrate Outlook into email. I can integrate Teams chat. I can integrate many different things. And then you'll see in some cases, it's a feature that you need to enable. And basically, you'll get to know the admin center. We went there for adding sample data, but the features section is a good one to look at because some features have to be turned on, like advanced search, maps, and different things like that may have to be turned on. You'll read all the terms that are related. If you plan to use PCF controls for Canvas, you need to turn that on. So take a minute and kind of take a look at the features that you optionally can enable, and you will immediately notice a big difference in the out-of-the-box technologies that will be included in the model-driven app, just because you enabled that feature, not because you had to go configure anything or understand how to do anything. It just does it for you, right? Really cool. So in addition to the idea of having all those relationships, you can also make your own tables and relate here and then include them as activities, right? So activities are shown in the timeline. So I really love this. And another thing, coming from the Canvas app world, whenever I wanted to do like a data export, like, to Excel or something like that, I had to like combine it with Power Automate. And that's fine. I know how to do that. But look at all of this built right into the UI for me, right? There's my export to Excel right there. I can choose to have it static or dynamic, which means I can even see it in Excel separately, but live, which means I can edit from there. I can add columns like, and here's a fun one. I'm going to add annual revenue because I just wanted something with a number, so to speak. And just that, okay? So I added annual revenue. Your users can update their views, sort, filter, edit columns, edit filters in the UI without you having done anything, right? And then the UI manages, oh, see that little asterisk? That means that's my view. So the security will say whether I can share that broadly, whether I can, what I can do with that. But that asterisk means it's only me seeing this change, nobody else, right? But that's all built in. And then if I get a moment where I said, wow, I wish we had a Power BI expert handy today, because I would love to kind of see some insights on this revenue across our customers. They got you there too. Power BI is so nicely integrated that you don't have to know a thing about Power BI. You just click that visualize insights in Power BI button, and it looks at the view you're in. So whatever you have in that view, Power BI says, I got you. And it starts analyzing against that, looking for those juicy insights. And these are really important when you have thousands of customers, right? Let's say you're a loan company that gives loans to people. You don't have time to be looking at all those millions of reports. Why don't we help Power BI to crunch, find the loans that'll be the most valuable to me, right? Find the customers that are paying us the most frequently, etc. Right? So you can use Power BI, and sometimes I do have a snow list here, and I don't know if it's me, but I might try clicking and start over here. Just click visualize this view. And this is a PCF integration that will help you put Power BI not only as a dashboard here, but also as a page as part of your forms. And so really cool, you have this ability to integrate existing PBI dashboards as well. So it just built this for me. I don't know anything. Let's imagine I'm the administrator and I'm just trying to get insights. I don't know how to do PBI. I'm a specialist in Power Automate. I don't know about PBI yet. That's fine. It does it for me. And guess what? I can save it. So this becomes a PBI file, a PBIX file that I can now revise. I got a starting point. Thank you for helping me. The connection is made. Thank you for helping me, because I didn't have to know which connector to click and blah, blah, blah. And now I can take that, save it to a shared workspace, for instance, and now use it in other ways, So like, what more could you ask for? There's always more though. Like I said, I could talk to you for days and days and days, but you can add another table to this. Notice I got related contacts and stuff like that without adding these pages, because it's part of the data model. But if you want them to be able to see those tables in their navigation, you might want to add them here. You can add any dashboard, right? Not only the dashboards that you have made in Power BI, which will show up down here, but also dashboards integral to Dataverse you can add. And then finally, hey, do you love Canvas apps? And you're like, I don't like model driven, Audrey, because I can't make it pretty and I want to make it pretty. Okay, add a custom page. Leverage your data model plus all the beauty of Canvas apps all together. And I do it all the time. How about a custom page when you want to show those beautiful image galleries, photo galleries, or you want to kind of put the pictures of a certain inspection into a certain form, and you want to make sure all the inspection photos for that inspection are all together on a beautiful page that just lets them click, pick inspection, and shows them the images. Like I said to you before, it's about your creative abilities, right? Be creative here. You don't have to pick anything. You don't have to pick a Power Platform service. You don't have to pick a Power Platform data source. You can bring as much data as you want into Dataverse from any data source. You can use custom pages to bring in those 800 connectors that Model Driven doesn't support on its own. By adding the custom page, you can put all that together. And you know what else? My team, the PowerCat team, CAT stands for Customer Advisory Team, has made a utility called Creator Kit. And it actually will give you templates to make beautiful apps. So you don't even have to figure out, how far it should be from the top or what it should look like and how to get my icons lined up. We've got a kit for that, right? And I believe, let me see if I, can I remember, aka.ms/creator kit. And Audrey, remember, and there it is. Okay, so I got a good memory. The older you get, you don't know, sometimes you lose it. So the Creator Kit has all of these different controls. You can look at, these are all PCF components. For those of you that don't know about PCF, you need to know about PCF. PCF is the way you scale components across your business without having to teach every single maker how to make that look that way, right? To avoid makers having to click on every little thing in their app and configure, which can very seriously hit performance when you don't know what you're doing there. If you pre-build the PCF components, you enable that in your environment, and now you just share that repository, and it comes from solutions, and now they're enabled to add that beautiful branded contact form, that beautiful branded map that you love to use. And you don't have to teach all your makers. What you're doing is you're enabling your makers to scale. So it's like, I don't know, we don't have a lot of time left, right? I ran out of time. So here's the last thing I want to say. I want you to head out to this community and really get to know the Power Apps community. Again, any page on any Power Platform product has this question mark in the top right, and it will take you to the documentation that you need. So I'm going to go back here, and I'm going to go back to the home page of Power Apps here, just by hitting back. And I'm going to show you the full, so you have documentation, all the docs, the learning materials. Let's have fun learning. You get points, you get to earn points, and you get to compete with your friends. Then there's support. You can find out what's broken today, if anything. Community is where I'm talking about. I think you should get connected, right? Your user group is another big thing, right? Stay close to your user group. This is an amazing user group. I was so glad to meet them. Stay close to your user group, because when you build, as you learn, you need that collaboration with other makers. And makers are people who are making solutions. You're problem solvers, but the best way to solve a problem is to amplify and engage others, right? And then you're guaranteed to win. And you're going to be the hero that saved the day. Last year, we spent 300 hours on X. And thanks to this app that Jennifer or Thomas or Sue made, we only spend 14 hours a year on that. And nobody's lost. Nobody's figuring out what to do next. Nobody doesn't understand the process. Make it collaborative. I guess I should give you the last 5 minutes for questions, but I hope that made sense to everybody. Like I said, I could talk for hours. It's really easy for me to talk for hours too, especially when I don't. Yeah, I'm sorry. I mean, sorry,
I can stay here for hours. I have no problem listening to you for the rest of Saturday. I have no problem.
Ahmed, I think I share the same view. I share the same opinion. I can sit here all day and just listen to you. You have amazing content and your delivery is so on point.
Oh my God.
Thank you.
I hope you will be in
I
Thank
don't
Las
you.
know.
I hope
Vegas
it's
this year.
useful to you. Help me make disciples. Steal any content that I share with you. Use these links. If you want content, reach out to me. I always supply. If any MVP needs content, I'm there. The super users, they have content too. They can help. Um, Please leverage all of this goodness to grow those amazing makers. They'll change their life on their own. Yeah.
Definitely, definitely. I think this is the point where we have the floor now to ask questions. There's a lot of content that have been shared, and I think I've learned amazing stuff today. And I think some of you may want to understand more and all that. So the floor is open. You can ask any question, but let me just push this forward. I don't know. It's just a mere question on like that on the fly. I know you've done a lot of, you've used connectors a lot and all that, but here lies the case. I want to know from a personal view, which connector do you think, I mean, data source do you think is faster? I know there's this latency factor whereby wherever your data is being stored also factor in, but when we look at SharePoint, SQL, we look at Dataverse, which connector, when you're doing the recipe at call, between services, which one do you think is faster? Is it from Power Apps to maybe SharePoint, Power Apps to SQL, or Power Apps to Dataverse, based on your experience?
Okay, so that's a loaded question, but here's what I will say. I'll give you the three things that I've learned. One, when it comes to technical proximity, right? Power Apps and Dataverse are built together. So it's not the same type of API call that you reach out to like SharePoint or you reach out to Planner. Basically, the closest thing to a Power App is Dataverse. And that call can be instant, right? So you do have an advantage because Dataverse is built under this platform. It's going to be very easy from an API perspective. However, the second thing I want to say is you got to be smart about your data models. It's not the service that often drives performance problems. It's the way the data is modeled. And I'll say that for SQL, I'll say that for SharePoint, I'll say that for Dataverse. When you model your data correctly, you facilitate good performance, in addition to the efforts that Microsoft makes to keep the architecture strong so it's performant and resilient. But it's also a part of a maker's job. And I think this is where I'm seeing more data stewards come into play. And the data stewards come in and say, hey, here's some data that I can provide for you that I know is performant, that I know it's going to work well. Because you can make bad decisions. I mean, from SQL, you also have what is the capability that you've lit up in Azure, right? So depending on what your capability is that you've lit up in Azure, that could affect performance. So you need to think about the data source, and you need somebody who knows that data source to kind of be behind you as you are modeling the data there, so that you're smart. Like for SharePoint, I remember one of the biggest mistakes people used to make in the past is they would have like 27 lookup columns and be trying to show that in a single view. And it's like, no. And you can't have 500 columns and 50% of them are lookups. So it's like, you understand what I'm saying? So it's not just picking the service, which you should pick based on the requirements, but it's also how you model the data that matters. So whatever service you choose it for two reasons. It matches your requirements, and you have somebody to help you model the data correctly. And I've seen mistakes made in all three that you mentioned, and I actually love them all. One of my favorite things today that I have like in the top of my head is virtual tables, because you can have a virtual SQL table and a virtual SharePoint table inside Dataverse, so that you don't have to move the data if you don't want to. Virtual tables are a 5-wizard step. Basically, let's see if I can just quickly point that out to you. If you go into the solutions, and you need to be using a solution for this, there is a drop down here where it says new table from external data. And this is where you can add SharePoint and SQL virtual tables. And basically, you only have a couple of things to do in this UI, and that's tell me which data source you're using, and then paste the URL or pick it from the ones you've used recently, right? And then after that, you can just pick the list that you want to virtualize, give it a name. Like this is, I believe this is a product list, right? And then you can check the data types, hit next. It gives you a little summary, hit finish. So what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 steps to bring data from SQL and SharePoint into Dataverse. And I would love to come back another day and talk to you maybe about why you'd want to do that. Why sometimes you don't want to move the data, you may want it to use virtualize. Other times you may be looking for certain features that would facilitate migration or synchronization. And that's where you learn about using data flows. Data flows help you migrate and synchronize. Just recently, I know SharePoint users would love this, I figured out how to get the SharePoint term store in Dataverse. And why did I need that? Because I want to use it as drop downs in my forms, right? Why am I inventing new terms when we already have a term store, right? That everybody knows how to use, right? So better together, pick your tool belt item based on the requirement. Don't get too fixed on one or the other. Try to see where you can use them together to get an optimal result. That was a long answer to your short question. Is that okay?
I think it helps me more because I have subsequent questions, but you answer them all. So thank you so much, Audrey. I leave the floor for another person. I think Ahmed has his hand up.
Oh yes, Ahmed has questions. So I'm gonna start by the last one, which is, yeah, I remember when I first actually saw the link to external tables in preview, I immediately made a video and blog about it. So it's actually there. I did it with SharePoint.
Put a link in the chat for everybody. Yeah, and I'll watch it too. Yeah.
So my question is, for the SQL, I can actually get connect to external tables or make virtual tables with Azure SQL, right?
Yes.
It doesn't have to be on-prem.
It's the same exact method. So so virtual tables is not new. That's pretty old, you know.
Yes.
But it usually took a little bit more work. Now, that wizard that you just saw, zip, 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 I got a virtual table. You know, like super easy. Now, we're going to soon have Excel included here too. You just didn't see it today, but it's coming.
Nice. Okay. What about Oracle?
Everybody says that. So tell you what, when everybody says that, you know it's going to be on the table as we discuss the next sprints. So please get that into the ideas forum. Any circumstance or idea like that, get it into the ideas forum, because it does matter when that's upvoted a lot, you know. But Oracle, I know that that's something that's come up enough to be already on the radar.
Yeah, the Excel is a great news because most of us started in projects that we actually migrated Excel to Dataverse. And now I guess we can just use while you are developing and you want to keep the user still working on their data, you want to have the up-to-date data for your testing, you can just have these virtual tables. So this is going to be a life-changing, specifically, like I work for St. Jude Children's Hospital.
Okay.
And we have a lot of departments that they use still Excel sheets sometimes, and there's some departments are moved to Power Apps, a lot using Power BI. It's just a big thing per platform, and this is going to be a great way to really fastly and efficiently move from Excel to Dataverse and build your model-driven apps and Canvas apps.
Yep.
That's awesome.
I love that. I love to keep adding. Look at all the things you can bring in through migration and or synchronization. So like those enterprise terms, If I bring them in, I don't want to bring them in once and for all because they might be changing in SharePoint. So I can have them synchronized every 3 months. And so look at all the data sources. I don't know if you can see this screen still, but you've got so much opportunity. You don't have to think just of one anything. We're giving you like a full package, but that's why I said at the beginning to really define your problem, your stakeholder, your requirements, and then you'll be able to pick which tool is the right tool. And the community is always there to help, and me too, especially for this small group here. I'm always available to help, but you need to be able to make that decision and not pick one or the other. Like, I wouldn't suggest that. So I always tell people I'm a chess player. I play chess. I love chess. You can probably see my chessboard back there. Chess players cannot just play with their queen. Even though the queen is awesome and she's amazing and everybody loves her, if they play with just their queen, the queen is going to become a target and they're going to lose. So we use our pieces in combination. I use my knight, I use my bishop, I use my queen. Think of those things like the tools in your tool belt and learn how to use them for what they do best. I'm happy to come back and talk more about why you would choose Dataverse, because I don't think we have time today, but I would love to come back and have that conversation.
Definitely.
I even bring one of my friends from the engineering team. Yeah.
For sure, for sure. I think Reza is also part of your team now. Reza Dorani.
Yes, we are so happy to have Reza now. Reza, he's somebody that I truly have such deep respect for. And now he's on my team. It's like, oh boy, I have Reza on my team. I can't be happier. Yeah, and all of us.
He's a very good friend.
Yeah, he's great. He's got one of our. He's one of the solution architects that has like high profile customers. So he's highly valuable on our team.
Yeah, indeed. Okay, Eric, I think Eric's hand is up. Eric?
I guess I wanted to add that for the Excel, you can also connect it using the virtual table, but it's a little bit a longer process. So that is, I tried to reply Ahmed. You can, I think Audrey has done a video on that.
So many people have done a video on that. Yeah. There's so many ways to do this stuff.
Maybe Audrey will put the link there.
Yes, I'll see if I can.
So for now, once it's not part of the wizard, you can go through that route.
Yes. And I will say that if I don't know if any of you've gotten used to understanding Azure Synapse Link, but the beauty of Azure Synapse Link is you can use it to create your own kind of what I call, and nobody else calls it this but me, query tables, where you do a query in Azure Synapse, right? And that query creates a brand new table, but you use your familiar query languages such as Spark and SQL. Those are your familiar query languages, and you can build your own table results in Azure that then you can therefore leverage, say, for Power BI insights or in your data lake. So I just look at all the options you have. I could, like I said, I could go on for a very long time. There's a lot here, and it's hard to take an hour to even summarize, right? Because it's so much. I will say that we didn't talk about solutions much, but this is the really great thing, because not only can you build your solutions, but you can distribute them intelligently. You can bring them through dev, test, prod, and then distribute them from one environment to another, from one region to another without painlessly. It's including a solution checker to make sure your solutions are published properly. You have managed, which means that your solutions are protected for structural mistakes by people who don't know better. And you have unmanaged, which is great for your dev environments where things can change on the fly. So solutions are another thing. If you haven't gotten into them, these are like, I'm making suggestions are the important things. Solutions is probably on the top of my list of important things to investigate. Did I say too much? I know we went way over. Okay.
No.
No, Audrey, definitely you'll be brought back.
Okay. Okay. And I might actually
Yeah,
bring with
you
me
know,
some
the
friends. Yeah.
yeah, one of the videos that I valued a lot is solutions and how she explained it during the Advent calendar for the database. So, friends, you can check out for her video on solutions. She did very, very well
I
explaining
love
how
talking
solutions
about
work. Thank you
solutions.
very much.
I love talking about solutions, Eric. Thank you for noticing that. And also security. People kind of get a little flustered with security. I did a video to try to simplify the concepts. But yeah, it's not as hard as it appears. It's just something you need to kind of get into, and you can progressively add to your knowledge. You don't have to know everything to build a solution. When I built that little app I showed you in 2016, I didn't know anything I know today. I just knew I need to get an app for these people. So you can build your knowledge over time and still all the way contribute value. Like from your day one, where you might even use a template, to your, like, I've been doing this for 2 years and now I'm a SME that everybody calls first before they make an app. All along the way, you can contribute value. I promise. And it's fun. Have fun with it. Don't take it too seriously. Have fun with
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
It's addiction. It's addiction.
It is addictive. It most
Yeah.
definitely is. The feeling you get when you open your app, like that was I'll say this last thing. Okay, promise. But I used to go to conference and I used to have people build a simple power app in like 30 minutes. And after we built it, I would have them download the Power Apps app onto their phones. And it would just be the most beautiful pictures to see people opening their phone. And they would just keep opening the app and they would just keep playing with it. Because the feeling of accomplishment, you can't even realize what that is. When you build your first app, you are like too into yourself, right? And you're gonna go home with that app and you're gonna share it with everybody because what? I just built an app, right? It's so empowering. And there's so many MVPs out there that have real life stories that show you that their career is changing, their lives are changing, they've changed the people around them. This is different from any other Microsoft technology. I'll tell you that between us, it's so much better than everything. It's because it's about us. It's not about Microsoft. It's not about those products. It's about what we can do.
Yeah,
And that's
yeah,
what
yeah,
makes it awesome. Yeah, that's what makes it
definitely.
awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. Audrey, it's been very good having you today. I think we are even
Oh,
past
I
time.
love it.
We are definitely going to have you again for some wild demo session. We have another wing of this kind of sessions that we do, but that is more focused on demos, showing
Uh-huh.
some of the capabilities. So we do in-depth, demo, advanced stuff, and so we have it mostly at the end of the month, and we are going to discuss, and we will program one, I think, for the end of next month, February. Then you have to definitely jump on one of those calls. Then you show us more of this stuff, this great stuff that we learned today. So this is me sign off.
Looking forward to
So
hearing from you, Eric. Yeah, I'm
all
happy
right,
to integrate. Yeah.
definitely. Back to you guys. Ahmed, Eric, if you have a final word for Audrey before we push it up, and if somebody has a final contribution before we all sign off.
Yeah, a couple. If the other guys can also put in comments or questions.
And you know what? Because Eric and I are connected, and Ahmed and I are connected through the community, also feel free to ask questions to them, and they'll get it to me. If they don't have the answer, they'll get it to me. They can just ping me on Teams. So very close relationships there. So feel free. Don't feel
Most
like
Thank
you
you
have
so
to
definitely,
ask
most
much.
it right
definitely.
now if you don't have it on the top of your head.
No, thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you so much. It was a great presentation, very eloquent. I personally enjoyed it. I'm looking
Oh,
forward
thank you.
actually to have you more and learn from you. I'm gonna actually try to find all your videos now and do if you have a blog post, that's definitely is gonna be in my bookmark. Because
Thank
yeah,
Definitely.
you.
this is just awesome. This is just awesome. Thank you so much.
You're so
Superb,
welcome.
superb.
It's on the community. So I think it's AKA, let me give you the link, AKA.ms/data verse, typing it, event, calendar. You'll see the whole list of videos on one community page, and all the resources. I actually gave quite a few of resources and so forth. So you should probably check out that page. It's 25 videos of fun.
That's beautiful.
Super. Okay, just a quick one too. So if anybody or anyone that couldn't join the presentation from the beginning, this video will be available on Ahmed's YouTube. I think we will also share it with Audrey if you want, and we have our YouTube page too. All the video, all the content will be available for you people to watch it again.
Thank you.
I mostly learn while viewing again, I think twice or thrice to make sure everything sticks. So I'm going to look for this video. So we'll put it over there for people to watch it. It will
Okay.
be available on YouTube. All right, guys.
Thank
Anybody
you.
have a question finally before we go?
This is your last chance. I'm
This
off to
is your
go.
last chance.
I'm off to
This
go
is
make
your
my
last
cup of
chance.
coffee. Yes, it's been so fun being with y'all though. I love it when someone, is open to me sharing my personal thoughts as well. I have fun talking to you. I know all of you are doing amazing things. Probably many of you
Definitely.
knew things that I was sharing today, but just having your support, make those disciples. Make those disciples. That's the one call to action I have to you. And keep doing what you're doing. I know all of you are heroes. I know it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Tesco. Yeah, I think Tesco
Yeah,
has something.
yeah,
Okay.
and I don't have a question. I'm just amazed by the session, and I was just enjoying it. So what I will do is I have to go and watch the videos, study them, and prepare myself for the next time questions. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Take your time. I'll be here. I'm not going anywhere. I'm not leaving the power platform. I love it. I'll be talking to y'all soon. All right.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a great rest of your weekend. Enjoy your evenings. I know it's late for you. Bye bye.
Bye bye. Thank you. Bye bye. Great weekend,
Bye.
everybody. Bye.
Bye.